What's up, everyone? Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Almost in the new year, 2025. Just crazy. Time seems to be just flying by the older I get. Big upset last night. I'm recording this video on Saturday. Latvia just beat Canada in a shootout. Disappointing loss. I hope that Schaefer kid is alright. That looked pretty brutal. Wouldn't be surprised if he has a shoulder injury and might even miss some games here. Hopefully not. Hoping Canada can bounce back, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, today I thought we'd talk about the player with the most Stanley Cups in the NHL. I'm sure a lot of you know this already, but I thought it'd be a cool video to do nonetheless. He's the brother of the original 50-goal scorer. In fact, he scored 50 and 50. Of course, I'm talking about Maurice Richard, who I'll definitely have to do a video on. Anyways, today we're talking about his brother, the man with the most Stanley Cups, Henri Richard. Henri Richard was born on February 29th, 1936 in Montreal, the seventh of 8 children. His older brother Maurice Richard played hockey for the Montreal Canadiens beginning in 1942, when Henri was 6 years old. Maurice quickly became a superstar player for the Canadiens, earning the nickname Rocket Richard, and Henri wished to emulate his brother and got into hockey. Henri joined the junior Montreal Canadiens as a 15-year-old. His first year for the junior Canadiens, he scored 27 goals and 36 assists in 46 games. The next 2 seasons, he led the Quebec Junior League in scoring with 109 points in 54 games and then 66 points in 44 games before being promoted to the NHL. Henri Richard made his NHL debut in 1955 and joined a stacked Montreal Canadiens team with his older brother leading charge. The team also had another legend in Jean Beliveau and famous Habs coach Toe Blake. Initially, Toe Blake kept the two brothers apart on the ice, fearing that his star Maurice Richard would give up goal-scoring opportunities to dish his younger brother the puck. However, one game against Chicago, a couple of injuries forced Blake to play the Richard brothers together, and Henri assisted on a Maurice goal late in the game. From then on, he played the brothers together on a line with Hall of Famer Dickie Moore. In his rookie season, Henri played 64 games, scoring 19 goals and 21 assists. The Habs won the Stanley Cup that year, and in fact, they would win the Cup every year for the next 5. Henri had 8 points in 8 playoff games as they beat the Detroit Red Wings in the finals. The following seasons, Henri would keep getting better and better. In 1956-57, he had 18 goals and 36 assists for 54 points. The next year, he had 28 goals, 52 assists for 80 points. Now keep in mind, 80 points back then was probably equivalent to getting about 100 points today. Not many players were putting up these numbers. In 58-59, he finishes with 51 points. Then in the last year of this 5-year dynasty, he gets 73 points and has his best playoff yet, scoring 3 goals, 8 assists in 11 games. Henri and his brother Maurice have really good chemistry, Henri being the passer, and Maurice, of course, the goal scorer. Now, I know there was only 6 teams in the league back then, but for those 5 years, Montreal was head and shoulders above the competition. The next 4 years, while putting up good regular season numbers, Canadians couldn't finish the job and wouldn't win another cup until 1965. Montreal beat Chicago that year, who had legends Bobby Hull and Stan Mikita. Henri put up 7 goals in 13 playoff games. The following season, the Habs would win the cup once again, making this Henri's 7th Stanley Cup, as they beat the Detroit Red Wings. Gonna throw a quick jab at Leafs fans here, as the Maple Leafs beat Montreal for their last Stanley Cup since, and possibly ever. In the 67-68 season, Henri's game starts to dip a little bit, but he's still an incredibly valuable player and leader. He finishes the regular season with 28 points in 54 games and another 8 in 13 playoff games. They win the cup back-to-back again, so if the Leafs hadn't beat them in 67, this would have been another 5-year dynasty. At this point, Henri has 9 Stanley Cups, and him and the Habs are still hungry for more. In 69-70, Henri nets 16 goals and 36 assists. He still proves to be an efficient passer even long after his brother retired. The Montreal Canadiens missed the playoffs this year, and the last time this happened was before the NHL even existed. I'm not sure if that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised, as they've been one of the best, if not the best team for decades. We're into the expansion era now too, so with more teams, it is less likely to win, even though the original 6 do seem to be more dominant. However, in 70-71, Henri and the Habs would capture another cup. this being his 10th. In 20 playoff games, he scores 5 goals and 7 assists. The following year, although the Canadiens wouldn't win Lord Stanley, they are joined by first overall pick and hockey legend Guy Lafleur, who I have made a video on a few weeks back, so check that out if you want. In 72-73, Henri's game slowly keeps dipping, but like I said, he's still valuable to the Canadiens. He finishes the regular season with only 8 goals and 43 points in 71 games. In the playoffs, he captures 10 points, 6 of those goals, and he lifts his 11th and final Stanley Cup. Henri would play 2 more seasons with the Habs, but of course they wouldn't have any playoff success. The funny thing is the year after he retired, the Habs won another 5 straight Stanley Cups, so imagine if he could have played another 5 years. When it's all said and done, Henri Richard played 1,258 regular season games, 358 goals, 688 assists for 1,046 points. He also had 928 penalty minutes, and in 180 playoff games, he had 49 goals and 80 assists for 129 points, and of course, the 11 Stanley Cups. He also won a Bill Masterton Trophy in 1973-74. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you did enjoy. It was a fun video to make. It's kind of cool looking back on these like old school players, like the real old school players, like 40s, 50s, 60s, that type of thing. It's a completely different game back then. Anyways, hope you enjoy the rest of your holidays here, and we'll see you in the new year.